All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We're just a bunch of Kiss fans and we talk Kiss. So come along for the ride. You've got nothing to lose. All right, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. We've got Lonnie back with us today, Daniel, before Sweden kicks off against Holland shortly, and Ken, the voice of reason. Yeah, Ken, we've only been doing this show for how many years, but even when I'm tired, I can still screw things up. Even when I'm well rested, I can still screw things up. Give me the opportunity and I'll mess things up. So I want to thank everyone for joining us live. AB, Austin Newlands, Ghost Musicians Union, Kiss Vids, G. Chopko, Ian Conahan, Wade, Jeff Davidson, Stargazer, Ronnie Parker. Wow, a lot of people already on the chat this morning. So thank you as always for your support and for joining us live Saturday morning. We're the animated version of a cartoon show. I guess we're going to be doing some topics from the board, but first things first is some of the news from the week. And of course, my 5-part deconstructing history series dropped. I mentioned that at the end of the last show. All those episodes are now out. So if you're interested in checking out some separations for those vault tracks from You Wanted the Best, check it out. Also, someone who I admire and I look forward to them putting out new material. Axology put out a new post on early amps, 1972-73. Always very well put together material and analysis, which again is, find the link on the FAQ message board if you don't know where it is already, but do bookmark his blog because he dropped some very cool stuff. Ken put out a video this past week in the Vinyl Minutes. Ken, tell us about the video that you put up.
What I put out, it was about the news about the Unplugged release this week, plus some showing off some Love Gun vinyl that I have in my collection, since the anniversary of Love Gun is this month. So I thought, why not Love Gun?
Yeah, real nice. Other videos. Well, Bruce Kulick put out a video put together by Andrew for celebrating 30 years of MTV Unplugged from Bruce's. Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits got a video from The Art of Guitar, another very cool YouTube channel worth checking out. And if you're not familiar with The Art of Guitar, I always recommend his Peter Criss Ghost Notes drumming video analysis of the Alive sequence. Very, very in-depth stuff by people who actually know what they're talking about in terms of music, which I don't.
He mentioned you, Julian, a few times there, and your book. So
that's very, very cool. He reached out to me when he was working on it, and I said, don't forget to check the Axology blog for Emil's post on Smashes 2, because as I said, it goes into much more depth than I did in that book originally. So hopefully he did reference some of that, but it's always nice to be mentioned, of course. What else? Where are my notes gone? All right. Yeah, so the big thing on Kiss Online this week, which it was why Ken mentioned MTV Unplugged, was the MTV Unplugged celebration. And they put out another article written by Ken Sharp with multimedia featuring Life in the Woods from Spiro's camera. Now, I had never seen that camera angle, so I was very happy to see that. I've seen it from other angles for Life in the Woods, but very cool for that finally to be available for the masses. Lonnie, Life in the Woods, you finally get to see it kind of properly. What are your thoughts on the multimedia that they shared this week?
It was very cool. It's very different. It was fun, to see something that just been in a time capsule for the last 30 years, and to see the band jamming on that. It was very heartwarming to watch it for me personally. What about you guys?
I think Spiro was very happy. He posted on Facebook that he was really excited to see it again because he'd shot that stuff. He'd been one of the camera operators for the rehearsals, and then he'd handed over the tapes, obviously, and never seen it again. So here it pops up 30 years later, a part of his life. Daniel, Life in the Woods.
Well, you mentioned so many interesting topics just at the top of the show here. First off, we have to be happy that Andrew is back in the game again and once again creating videos. I think that's awesome. He's one of the best guys at creating Kiss video. So that's really cool to see. Secondly, I have to say that all this unplugged things that are going on, I think it's almost forgotten every time that this is the best show to see the brilliance, not of the original era, but the Revenge era lineup. I mean, just watch those live clips from that they have added to the Kiss channel on YouTube. Wow, I mean, talk about going out with a big bang. So this was actually, well, not technically, but almost Bruce's, and at least Bruce's last show with Kiss. Such an awesome show, and the brilliance of that lineup is so clear when you watch that one. So I just want to wave the flag a little bit for the Revenge lineup.
Good for you, Daniel.
Lonnie forgot to do it. Go ahead.
There'll be a lot of love for Revenge in this episode
sure.
today, so I think Lonnie will be able to celebrate it fittingly. Ken, your thoughts on that, and then we'll talk about the merch a little bit as well.
Yeah, well, the Life in the Woods thing, that was really cool to see. It's like, wow, I can't believe they're actually doing something that was kind of pre-Kiss or early Kiss, before they even did their first album. So it leaves you wanting more. I like some kind of set or something released of more footage of them rehearsing and that sort of stuff. Just even playing little nuggets or portions of songs that normally you don't see every day, would be interesting to have. And I don't know, it's just kind of interesting, as if you were a fly on the wall kind of thing, being there. That would have been so cool. I'm sure there's a lot of other good footage. I just hope one day it gets released.
There is a lot of very good footage that doesn't circulate from that. What it does circulate is just a tip of the iceberg, really, one of those situations. I think what I would love to see done from it is what they've kind of teased from with that little Unplugged documentary that was originally part of the DVD release when that came out. And I think they posted that this week. It's 12 minutes thereabouts.
Yeah.
But an expanded one. I mean, you can go through, I think I've played some of the Domino stuff previously on the show with Gene forgetting the lyrics, Paul bantering back and forth, just write down the lyrics, Gene. I don't need to write. And they go through it 6 times and he's screwing it up every, that sort of Odd Couple type comedy. And then Peter with the wood block, Paul going, what if we don't do Beth? How are we going to tell Peter we don't like the wood block, the wood tongue, and all those sorts of things. So there's a lot, Ace having to get a copy of the Dynasty cassette to listen, all of them listening to 2000 Man to try and get that down in terms of tempo and style. So there is a lot. And given that, if that footage was given to the right person to assemble, they could do a pretty good, 90-minute or 2-hour documentary. And imagine having Bruce and Eric, Gene and Paul interviewed specifically for it, talk about this, look at this, and give us, again, it could be so good. But what I take out as a real positive, Pop House clearly has those tapes and has now used them, and they knew what to use. They knew how to use it. And the reaction from the fans that I've seen has been overwhelmingly positive. Not, oh, hoarder. I mean, when a fan has it, you're a hoarder. But when Kiss puts it out, that's the right context, and there's appreciation for it, and hope for more. So
yeah, it's a step in the right direction. They should always do this when they do these kind of anniversaries, instead of just a T-shirt and some other stuff. Use video to celebrate the anniversary, and that's a big step forward this time around. It's the first time they released a lot of video when the anniversary is up. I mean, there are stuff from the other anniversaries as well, but with rights and stuff, you don't know if they are able to do it, but this is the way to do it. The YouTube channel has been dead for months, so it's great that they release stuff like this. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, there's a big anniversary that's coming up this week for 30 years since the Detroit show. So maybe there's more on the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're doing the right thing. They've been putting together.
That's me doing my best, Ken, being optimistic.
Well,
Good job. Nice job.
Nice written features, multimedia. Again, they've really made a vast improvement, as they have, in my opinion, on the merchandise that's dropped for MTV Unplugged. 2 marquee products have been made available. One is the double picture disc with double-sided poster and a metallic medallion, which is a partnership with a third party whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. And that's got a silver foil cover, which is their go-to now for some of these. And there's also the double colored vinyl, which is yellow and red swirl. God knows what it'll end up looking like, because all of them differ.
You might get one or the other color look.
Yeah, it's gonna vary. They can only give a representation of the 2 real colors that it's based on. But that's got a single-sided poster, and that's got an embossed cover. And they've recreated, added in additional photos.
Yay! They finally added the photos after 30 years.
So they are doing more in terms of that. And I just want to commend Tom Germain and T42 Design for a very important thing with both of these products. They've recreated the album cover properly as a full-scale, full-size one without that god-awful border. Which originally was on most releases. I know Zimbabwe had the single sleeve and all that jazz, but for the rest of the world, they went back and painstakingly went to the original photograph to do it right, instead of going to the Universal Art Archives and just tarting those up. Lonnie, thoughts on all those products? 3 t-shirts or 2 t-shirts and a hat as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that the album is going to look like it always should have looked, 30 years ago. So I thought that was a very cool thing that, that's them listening to, that this is how this album should have looked. That's listening to the fans. I bought the colored vinyl because the picture disc at $220. Just because. I mean, why else do you buy these vinyls? Why? It's just because.
No, you're just mad it didn't come with a sweatshirt, aren't you? Just say it, Lonnie.
Well, I was a little disappointed. I need another. I really wanted
another hoodie.
I really wanted to spend an additional $80 on it so it could come with a hoodie that I wouldn't wear. So, but the colored was a little out of my price range for $225. That was a little steep for a piece of vinyl, for a new piece of vinyl anyway. But to each their own. If that's what you want to do, I know people were excited about it, so I went with a cheaper option. But I was still happy to get it, and I'm just glad they're doing something, and I hope it continues. And I hope I really hope they do something for the 30th anniversary of the Detroit show coming up this week. But we shall see, because it's such a pivotal moment in the band, and in their resurgence and everything. But I thought the merch was cool this week. It didn't look, nothing looked god awful, which was a pleasant surprise, because a lot of the times it does look like we get that, we comment to each other like, oh, who's buying that? But it was decent this time, so that's encouraging.
Daniel, your verdict.
Yeah, if you're into vinyl, I think it's a great release. And like you mentioned, the cover finally looks like it should. But to me, the biggest thing this time around, it was the video that they released, clear footage from the taping of MTV Unplugged. I think this is the way to go. I mean, Metallica has been doing this for 15 years, releasing cool videos all the time. And that's the way to get the brand across to the youth. Show the brilliance of the Revenge era, show the brilliance of the original era, and put it out there in top-notch quality. So keep it up. I'm hoping. I hadn't thought of it, but what Lonnie is saying is actually quite brilliant. If they could do something with that as well, and use the video that you have. There's no band that tops Kiss visually to this day, I think.
Yeah. Ken, merchandise this week. How many t-shirts did you buy?
Zero t-shirts, but just the picture disc, the expensive picture disc, because I have and like I said in the video I created earlier this week, I have a colored version of Unplugged, the yellow that came out in '96. Then I have the 2014 Hysteria version.
Oh God, I've got that.
Yeah, there you go. And then, which is black. And then now, I thought, well, I'll do the picture disc. Plus, the foil cover is very cool on all these releases. I'm just really enjoying all the foil covers and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll probably play it at least once to see how it sounds, because picture disc, you never know how they're doing. But they sound better these days than they did back 30 years ago or 50 years ago, for that matter.
Yeah, so it was mentioned something needs to be done for Tiger Stadium 30th anniversary, and I wish that were the case. Some of the stuff that I've added into the Magic book this week is some of the technical details of what they had with them on tour. Part of that included 4 ADAT machines for providing 24 tracks of recording for each show, and they did archive every single show, and they would have bounced those probably to DAT for review. And you could be sure that someone in the band reviewed that very first show that they did to pick apart what was working and what was not working in terms of either mix or some of the technical things. So to think that there are potentially ADAT tapes, putting those back together could be a bit of a challenge these days, because they're like VHS tapes, each one of those, to get the 8 tracks on them. But the potential to have a show, full multi-tracks of many of these reunion shows, would just be beyond, pairing those up with the video would be great, because video source isn't as good as soundboard and multi-track soundboard for that matter. But again, it's what if, our desires and demands exceed reality. So it was nice to read that was some of the technical stuff that they were doing, to have that. So let's get into last night, because last night is Ken and I and Northern California finally got a Gene Simmons solo show after several attempts. Back in 2017, he was supposed to come to California and play Riverside, I think the Fox Performing Arts Center, but canceled. Another show was canceled as well. I don't remember the details on that one. I eventually flew to Edmonton to scratch that itch, because I did not want to miss out. I had FOMO big time. He'd started off 2017 in St. Louis, going all around kind of the Midwest meat and potato Kiss markets. And Northern California has never been that market while I've been here. So it really was a matter of not wanting to miss out yet again. When I went to Edmonton, it was a very lackluster one with tuning issues, too many people on stage, a lot of time wasted. Ken, overview of the Alameda County Fair for last night, and we got to see a lot of friends from the area. Wade and his missus, Jonathan, and Kenny from the Destroyer Tribute Band, and others as well. So your initial take on last night's show?
Yes, it was a good time. It was a good time seeing all the Kiss fans and meeting Kiss fans that we know out there. It's a decent crowd, I guess, compared to other ones that he's been shows he's been doing. But yeah, it was finally like the third time as a charm to actually get to see him, because the first one canceled, the second one canceled. I thought, is this one going to get canceled too? Especially after he canceled the July dates, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm almost waiting to hear our date is going to get canceled. But fortunately, it didn't. But it was great, and our seats were better than I thought they were, because when I bought them, I thought we were farther back. But no, they were pretty darn close. So
You did very good with the seats, by the way.
Yeah, well, I knew you wanted an aisle seat, so that's why I gave you the aisle seat.
But what do you mean? What do you mean? Are people sitting down at these concerts?
Well,
It's a
there's
America.
seats. It's reserved in the front sections are reserved
Oh, okay.
seating. But yeah, you can stand up, of course. You don't have to sit down the whole time. People stand up, people sit down, that sort of thing. But yeah, it was very cool. I finally, this is what I want to do. I want to see this Gene Simmons band at least, once.
So it was your first time seeing the band, Ken?
Yeah, the Gene Simmons band the first time.
Okay.
So it was a first for me, and I know Julian will go over it, but yeah, it was a decent set. I think it was better than what he had been doing like a year ago with the Van Halen, Motorhead stuff. I didn't want to hear that. I want to hear Kiss or his solo related stuff, and yeah, he delivered. A little bit too much jabbing, gabbing or whatever you want to call it. Talking.
There's only 30 minutes of talking.
Only 30 minutes. They could have fit in how many songs in that 30 minutes? So yeah, that's the only problem I had with it. But yeah, it was a really good time.
Lonnie, you checked out the set list, hopefully by now, or you're clicking rapidly to find the set
I was
list.
looking for it. I couldn't find it.
Julian,
it's in the Alameda thread on the FAQ. I'll come back to you. I posted it, but when I'll go to Daniel first. Daniel, what do you think about Gene getting rid of all those covers and replacing them with Kiss songs, specifically Ace songs, really?
I think it's an awesome idea. I saw him. I don't know. Remember, was it last summer or the summer before that? I saw him here in Sweden, and I was kind of underwhelmed with the set list. I did have a great time, but I also saw him back in 2018, and that was a pretty awesome show. I mean, that was 5 out of 5. He didn't talk as much, and he just brought up. I don't think he brought up as many people. That was my biggest issue last time I saw his show. It was way too much people on stage. People that didn't know the lyrics even went up on stage.
Yeah, 2 of those last night.
Stood there like fools just looking around. I don't know this song. Well, what the hell did you go up on stage for then? Stay away from. I mean, I don't know why Gene likes to do that so much. It could be 1 or 2 tunes he could do that. Rock and Roll Night, of course, and maybe one more. But it's way too much, and people have said this to him for years now. But he doesn't really care about it. He still does it. So I think that's the downer with the show. And listening to you guys, it seems like he's continuing down that path.
It was slightly better than previous in terms of the audience participation part. But the first young lady he brought up was 14 years old. And then he went into a bit of a monologue about how to hold a microphone properly. And the cringe alarm was going off pretty badly. You got to use both hands around that thing and get your mouth closed. And I was just going, oh, my God, Gene, 14 years old. Even, if I'm not ultra woke, I was like, oh, there's got to be headlines. The second 2 girls came up for, I think, I Love It Loud. One didn't even know the songs, and she's just sitting there talking into the microphone, telling her hubby, I love you. Wee. And then he's telling them how to sing, and she's like, I can't sing.
They go up there. I
get
don't
those
know
demon boots out and get. But from my perspective, after Edmonton being my only other experience, was he didn't bring up a whole crowd of people, which I thought was at least a better case. Lonnie, back to you now on your thoughts on the set compared with all those Motorhead covers.
I like it. It's strictly Kiss. That's why you would go see a Gene Simmons solo show. So I think that's a big step in the right direction. I'm a big fan of the 2 Revenge songs right smack in the middle, back to back. That's awesome. That's fun. Domino and Spit back to back. Come on, don't get much better than that.
You'd like
and Are You Ready? I like that he does that.
That's a good song.
it's a really good song too. It's really for the diehard fans that would know that too, not just a casual Kiss fan showing up. So I think that's fun. Charisma, that's awesome. That's a deeper cut, and Rocket Ride, a tribute to Ace right in the middle. That's cool too. So it's a fun set list. Looks like you guys saw a good show.
Yeah, I think one thing that Ken mentioned, and I'm not throwing you under the bus because it's something that I agree with, is that this band has a very different dynamic to that band which previously backed him, and those guys and people like Jeremy and Ryan live and breathe Kiss music and play stuff. I'm going to steal your words. Can play stuff at the drop of the hat. Whereas this band has a different dynamic in terms of their playing. One thing I really wasn't a big fan of was the guitar tone. Very, very far from Ace's kind of sound, and the sound that works with Kiss songs. But you've got Brent Woods, Woody, and Jason Walker on guitars, along with Gene, and the monstrous Brian Tichy. Brian Tichy is a really cool guy, very, very cool guy, great drummer as well. I think musically he's probably a highlight for me. But Ken, what are your thoughts on how the band is now different than all the videos that you've seen watching the Gene Simmons band over, 7 years now?
Yeah. This band is, well rehearsed on the certain songs, and I think there's only a limited amount of things that they could really do. And I mean, they could play any Kiss song, but I think there's a lot of songs that they couldn't just, do it on the fly without practicing it first. They've obviously practiced these songs that they've done, and they perform them very well. For instance, like Rocket Ride is like, pretty much spot on and that sort of stuff. So they're solid players, which is all good. But yeah, his prior band, which became the Ace Frehley band, like you said, you could just pick a song out of any album and they'd know it. And Gene would be the one that wouldn't know how to play those songs. They would know all of them and he wouldn't know. So this is a solid band. It was interesting. I mean, they gave them solos throughout, which is okay. I still think they could have inserted another song in there. They could have chopped down the solos, and the drum solos there too, which is good. It was good, but I would have shortened it just a little bit, because we want.
Yeah, I would have gotten rid of charisma, shortened the set.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. They could have fit in Christine 16, right? So, the band's fine. They're solid players, good musicians, So I have no problem.
All right, let's hit a little bit of multimedia. I didn't film much last night. I was really there to listen to the music and be there in the moment as such. So just little snippets. This is all I got other than the full eye video. All right, so I knocked up the demon. Gene's sounding fantastic. I will say that. Both of those guitars, again, they're very good at what they do. They do work the stage. They move around. They interact. They're very good. They're very dynamic as performers. Yeah, my little quibble with tone has nothing to do with their skills. It's just a little bit. Again, I expect in my head Kiss music to sound a certain way, and the venue was really good. It was a nice little mini amphitheater. Unlike the Paso Robles State Fair in I don't even remember what year that was now, 2008, I think. There was no smell of livestock manure for this show. You could see some of the neon lights and Ferris wheels and all that jazz around it, so it had a very nice atmosphere. you're a big Gene guy, Lonnie. I mean, later on, Revenge era, perhaps, but how's he sounding to you, and what do you get out of seeing him like that?
I thought he sounded good. It's fun to see him perform, first and foremost. I mean, that's considering where we're at, 26. We haven't seen Kiss in pushing 3 years. So seeing Gene up on stage doing it is fun. And he sounded good. He looks a little different, but he sounds really good. So,
chocolate cake.
Yeah, it happens to the best of them.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun. It's definitely it's brought a smile to my face. You brought that up to see Gene up there performing, and sounding good. I mean, puts a smile on my face for sure.
You literally can't ask for anything better. Someone in the comments mentioned McMurphy. Thanks for mentioning this, by the way. Some of the songs felt borderline metal. Let Me Go seemed to be way more intense. I've got a clip of that before I go to Daniel for.
Baby, it's time. Everybody knows you got the chance to pay for this sugar girl. Let me go.
Yeah, that one sounds real good, and the hand-dipped corn dog sign in the background's making me hungry. Daniel.
I think it sounds awesome. I mean, at this point of time, I mean, you can't hope for much more than this. I think the band sounds great. Gene sounds great. My only wish is that he'd take a page out of Lonnie's book and go for a run once in a while. I think that would be a good idea. But other than that, I think it sounds great, and I love the fact that he's picked up the leather coat from the Revenge era there and using it on stage. I like the look. Now it's just he just have to grow his goatee. And that show you went to when it smelled like cow manure. Do you know why the cows were dancing in the fields? Julian?
Oh God, why were the cows dancing in the fields?
They were showing their moves.
Whoa.
That's a dad joke on Father's Day weekend, is what that is.
That's great. Dad jokes are the best.
Dad jokes the day before. Yeah.
All right, so the show kicked off with Deuce, so immediately I'm happy. I to this day, hearing Gene do Deuce, I got the same feels that I get every single time that I hear Deuce. Let Me Go Rock and Roll is another one. I can't remember the last time I heard that live. But to have that last night, and someone had mentioned that they'd heard them sound checking that earlier, and I didn't even connect that he was going to change up the set much from Indio earlier during the week. So, Ken, Deuce, and Let Me Go Rock and Roll.
Yeah, Deuce was stellar. I mean, what a way always to kick off, the show. It rocked like it should rock, and it was perfect. I know it's your favorite song, and it's one of my favorites, obviously too. And then Let Me Go Rock and Roll. They even go into the extended version of it, which is the way to go, because just the short Hotter Than Hell version is not enough. The extended live version is always great, and it was solid. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed those songs. I mean, those are classic Kiss stuff, and well performed. The other thing is, this guy that was next to me though he was always yelling out something. I don't know. He had a few.
Wendy Williams.
He had a
Williams.
yeah, he had a few too many. Anyway, but this one time, unfortunately, he was yelling "Nothing to Lose" for a while.
Oh God, yeah, Gene.
And then so Gene started spitting out lyrics and stuff like that, and then he went on for like it seemed like forever a tangent on back doors and stuff. It's like, oh God, it's like, oh shoot, you got him going off tangent on this. I said we need
that was cringe number 2 because then he made some kind of inappropriate comments for Pride Month.
yeah, during Pride Month,
in Northern California.
Whatever, but anyway. Yeah, dude.
It's like Grandpa. Grandpa gonna open his mouth, and you just put on your seatbelt and your crash helmet, and
the filter's gone.
No, there is no filter. Lonnie, this would have been a high point for you. This was a repeat for a song I saw in Edmonton, but when he did it, I was very, very happy. It was one of 2 songs from Revenge. I didn't film any of Spit, so I got some Domino.
Predicament. It's a big one. And it goes like this.
Real nice. Lonnie, got to go straight to you for that.
That sounds amazing. I mean, that sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds really heavy. I really like how heavy it sounds. And Gene sounds great.
Yeah.
Man,
pushing 70 and
really
80.
Good.
Pushing 80 and
he's still 77 this year.
That sounds really good. I mean, damn.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, that guitar tone works on that song.
Yeah.
Zero complaints there.
No.
That really hit the spot. His attitude as well. How freaking cool is this to be able to get together and talk about a Kiss related show with one of the original members, doing the songs that we love live. I mean, that's the best part of this, if anything else, is I've gotten to see friends on a Friday night. I don't go out, and get to hear those songs from the soundtrack of my life. That is what it's all about. So I can see why people still are interested in doing events like Kiss Vegas, whatever it's called. I get it. I totally get it more. That's a good reminder. There was one song, I've posted a full separate video of it, so I'm not going to do a clip of it here, but another incredible song. I was performed on the Kiss Cruise 7 in 2017, and it's the song along with Hot and Cold which prompted me to book Kiss Cruise 8, because I'm like, if they're doing shit like that, I'm gonna so love going on the Kiss Cruise. And while
Julian got the hits,
I got the end of the road test set, but still to finally hear it done by Gene, which is all that ultimately matters, or mostly by Gene, because he's getting a lot of help from Jason on it. Lonnie,
It's awesome. I mean, how fun is that you get to hear something that you probably never thought you'd get to hear live, and have Gene sing it? I mean, it's a really good song, on an album that gets tossed aside by a lot of fans. That's that's one of the more Kiss-like songs on that album. If maybe the most Kiss-like song on that album, other than the oath and the snapping, of course. But
Yes.
it's an anthem type song. To hear Gene do it live, I mean, again, I'm damn jealous of you guys seeing that last night. It's awesome.
Danny, how's the set compared to what you saw? What was it, last year or the year before?
Well, it's not that far away from the set I saw, but I didn't get spit. I would like to hear. I have to go online and watch that song as well, see how it sounds, because I haven't heard it yet. If it's anywhere near the way Domino sounded, it's great. I mean, some of the comments are right on point. I mean, like Ronnie Parker, one of our loyal listeners and viewers, says it sounds like 1993. I mean, it sounds like 1994 from that South American tour. The vocals are pretty similar to the way they sounded back there. Then, when they were really heavy, they played stuff like Unholy, War Machine, God of Thunder, and Try to Be Real Mean, and they had Domino in the set, and it's pretty close to that one. And the other comment from one of our loyal viewers is like from Kiss Vids, Gene is my dad's age. Yeah, my dad is still around. He's 80. I can't see him, even though he's pretty fit and so. I can't see him going on tour and playing and singing like this. The vocals, they sound different when they get up there in age. But I mean, Gene, I think it sounds perfect, and I love the bass tone when he does Domino. Never had no worries. He's great at that, and he's always been so. If I was over there, I would book a show and go to it.
Ken, you've always been the Gene guy. Here you have Gene doing songs that you love, and we haven't even talked about Charisma. But he sounds like Gene, and he's even doing those little high parts still, and he's doing the growls, and he's doing the attitude.
Yeah.
What's that do for you?
It's great. I mean, we're so lucky that he still can do it, night after night or whatever, or week after week, whatever. The way he sings, he still has it. He can sing the whole spectrum still. For all the songs he's done, and the song "I," one of my favorite songs. I mean, it was a favorite song right when I first bought the Elder. I thought this is a great song. I loved it. I played it over and over. But so to finally see it played live, and I'm just really, really happy, happy. So I'm very lucky to finally see this show, and all the talking in between songs stuff aside, the actual show, every song was stellar, and great performances all the way through.
He didn't linger on Ace, which I kind of appreciated, and I
not
liked.
Too much, yeah, no,
not too sentimental or morbid on that. Instead, he let the music do the talking for Ace with Parasite, Cold Gin, and Rocket Ride.
Yeah.
Rocket Ride was actually
Ride's
a
awesome.
home. It was a home run for me.
Yeah,
I thought that was extremely well done by the whole band. That one was sung by Brent Woods. Just all around. Do you think that's a fitting tribute for Ace? And is that how you like Ace to be remembered, by the music, not by words, Lonnie?
Yeah, for sure. I'd much rather Ace be remembered by the music instead of Gene talking. I mean, you guys are mentioning that he stuck his foot in his mouth several times during the show, so less talking about Ace and less chance of him saying something that it's going to make us not real happy. So I'm glad we just let the music do the talking for Ace instead of Gene saying something that would make us criticize him or be upset with him the next morning.
Yeah, I was watching him carefully. He didn't say anything against any member of the band whatsoever. He just let the music. He just put his foot in his mouth in other ways. Daniel.
I think as you get older, you seem to lose your filter, so to speak, or you just don't care anymore. You just speak your mind.
You don't care. You never
So,
did.
no, so less talking, more playing is the way to go. I think. I don't think I don't think he played Rocket Ride last time I saw him. That's a great addition. But I do remember Parasite being really heavy and cool as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how that was for you when you watched it last night, but that was one of the highlights at the last show I was at in, I think it was 2024 or something.
Yeah, it was heavy as hell.
Yeah,
It was
Ken.
great. It was great. Yeah.
All right, so McMurphy points out that they noodle Lover All I Can. So they did guitar solos for both the guys, and then the drum solo, which was hilarious. Just
All the sticks he went through.
drumsticks all over the place, and then the roadie having to scurry around the stage picking them up after, which was very cool. But I did dig the heavy, fast version of Lover All I Can as kind of a tag to the end of the solos. It was really fun. I didn't know that was coming, so nice surprise again. One non-album track, and this was another part that made me really happy. Didn't know it was going to be in the set, and one that I'm glad I finally heard live.
Here's a song called, you guessed it, Are You Ready? Thanks for nothing, I ain't lying. You could shove it where the sun don't shine. Give me a kiss like your lip. Oh, let your backbone slip. I am pleasure, I am pain. It gets so good, you'll come back again. You want play, and time to sing. I am the only one who holds it deep. Are you ready? Baby, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh yeah, have a good time.
I think he's doing really good there. Again, he's slipping from lead vocal into backing vocals and doing higher parts. Very cool. Thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that one performed, I think both in 2024 and 2018. It's a pretty good song, but I think he has a lot of good songs on the Vault if you give it a real listen, especially some of his later material in preparation for Carnival Souls. I mean, just recently I did a show on a Swedish podcast where I put together an album from the Gene Simmons songs, and I ended up with a lot of stuff from the 90s Gene Simmons. I mean, there's loads of cool stuff hidden on that Vault thing, but there are like 168 songs or something. So you really need to have the time and the will to go through that thing that is the Vault. But there are plenty of good songs. This is a good song, but I think he has even greater songs on that album that we've never got to hear live. So, but I think it's a cool addition.
Lonnie, you've seen Gene Simmons before, haven't you?
I did. I saw him in St. Louis. It was good. I enjoyed it for sure.
Did he do Are You Ready?
He did not do Are You Ready?
Oh.
I think it was in 2017. I think it was before the Vault came out.
Mm-hmm.
Even. So he did not do Are You Ready? Are You Ready's good. I mean, it's
Should have
really
been on a
good.
Kiss album.
It should have been on Monster. Why it's not on Monster, I don't quite understand. But
no,
there's whatever
reasons.
Yeah, but why that's not on Monster is crazy to me. I think it's one of the better things It's one of the better songs since. It's one of the better songs off of that would have been on Sonic Boom or Monster for sure. Why it's not on there is crazy to me. So I mean, the fact that you guys got to hear it is really cool. But no, he didn't do that in St. Louis. It was prior to the Vault. Yes, Austin. It was at the pageant. We were there.
Yeah, so hearing that finally made my backbone slip.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, it's just like doing checkbox of what I kind of hope to hear, what I want to hear, and while I go in with no expectations, to be able to say, last night I got to hear Gene doing Parasite, Cold Gene, Let Me Go, Rock and Roll, Are You Ready, Spit, Rocket Ride, War Machine, which weren't at the show in 2017 that I saw, where, at that time I saw Do You Love Me, Radioactive, Christine 16, Boom Boom, Plastercaster, She and Ladies in Waiting. You add those two together, I am one happy, satisfied Kiss fan for that breadth of material that's been covered by the Gene Simmons band in 2 shows I've seen across 7 years. So the last bit of footage that I've got to share today is War Machine, and this was the 4th person brought up on stage. What's the chap's name? Phil Demmel, once a member of Violence, legendary Bay Area band.
Okay, here's a song somebody asked to hear before. I wrote it before he became a big deal with Bryan Adams. Here's War Machine. Let me see your hands. Wanna rock the hand that feeds me. I wanna turn the tide. Set the demons free and watch it fly. Down, down.
All right, that's all I shot for that, because the guy was going for another frickin' bear, It wasn't me. I had my bevy before we went in.
Yeah.
I was good just to sit and drink water and watch the show. Again, cool that he brings a local guy up on stage. I think it was his guitarist who made that happen. But I love Titchy at the beginning of that. Just Keith Moon, Eric Carr, and Dave Grohl rolled into one with a Bonham hit, power hit. Great attitude, Lonnie.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like Brian at the beginning of that with great attitude playing those drums like that. So, comments in here about War Machine, that we're sick of that song. I get it. They played it a lot. In the singer Thayer era, they played that maybe every tour, and they really played that a lot. But it's still good though, man, and it's a really good song live. So, hear Gene singing that though with the attitude and the voice, it's just makes you smile, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What a love fest this is for the Demon. How
Right?
how kind of there's not a single song that I was rolling my eyes going, I'm sick of that song. Even having seen plenty of End of the Road shows, Shouted Out Loud, which I've bagged on at times, thoroughly enjoyed. There is not a song that he did last night that I wasn't like fully into and thoroughly enjoying. But I got to ask the question, is there something that you wish he had done last night, Ken? If you had, paid for the personal song selection experience.
There's a few. I mean, I was hoping he would do, I think because he was doing Christine 16, that one. I would have liked, Plastercaster or something like that too. But I would have liked, because I had gotten on his feed or whatever, the Facebook earlier in that day related to the show last night. And I said, I want you to play Watching You. I would have loved to have had that one played, because I think it's just a great song. So, but yeah, there's a lot of songs, but you can't get everything you want. And on War Machine, it could be the best song potentially on Creatures. It's that good of a song. It's just a great song. So I never get tired of that, even though it's played and played and played, but it's just it's so good.
Agreed.
I can't say don't play it. I'm going to enjoy it anytime you play it.
Daniel.
War Machine needs to be played on every single tour. I mean, it's such an awesome tune. So I'm totally on Ken's side there. When it comes to the set list compared to the one I watched 1 or 2 years ago, I think it's a better set list this time around. I mean, he plays stuff like Communication Breakdown, House of Pain, Ace of Spades, and Weapons of Mass Destruction. It was cool that they added something from Asshole, but I wouldn't have added that song. I mean, it wasn't that good to see live. So it's an improvement when it comes to the set list. And if I could wish for a song, I got my wish granted back in 2018. It blew my mind. I was there in the crowd, and he started he played Fits Like a Glove, and I was over the moon. So I'm just a happy lucky guy.
Yeah, again, I'm really happy with what he did. I mentioned 3 in the car, after the show. Not for the Innocent, Fits Like a Glove, which I still haven't heard, and I actually threw into my list Burn Bitch Burn. Go
I was like,
figure.
wow, I can't believe that.
I would really get off if he shocked the people by doing that one.
That would have been a shocker.
Cool riff.
Burn Bitch Burn. That's
I would have
fun.
loved that.
It'd be fun as hell. I saw Yes I Know in the comments. I love Yes I Know. That'd be fun to see live, actually, in my opinion. And he's done Almost Human also. I think that'd be really cool also. I mean, it's a forgotten Gene gem, which would be cool to hear live too. And I'm with you on Watching You. Watching You just sounds great live. I love that song when it's played live. I mean, it's very underrated live Kiss song. So those are ones I think I would love to like Dev in there as well.
One other thing from earlier solo shows that he did as well was Got Love for Sale. So again,
he did Love for Sale. He did that in St. Louis. That was awesome.
I did, yeah.
There have been plenty of songs that have had rotation. And you know what, Gene? You hit a home run last night. With some of the banter aside, it was a really enjoyable evening, to get out and see Gene Simmons band playing the songs that we love. There's no point us moving on into any board topics today. That's a good and fitting ending point for the show, because there's soccer kicking off very shortly for those of us who are invested in the World Cup. So good luck to Sweden, or good luck to Holland, depending on which color you wear. I've only got a heart for Scotland and England, so we shall see how it goes. But that's it. If you get the opportunity to see any members of KISS from any lineup, any era, go and see them. Don't miss out on the opportunity. Again, the people factor is massive, but also getting to hear those songs that we love performed live and getting out of the house and away from the screen is a really good thing. So thank you, Gene. Thank you, Gene Simmons Band. And thank you, everyone who's joined in today with comments from the chat. And if you're listening to this show afterwards, chime in with your answers to all of those things that we pondered during this episode. But for now, from Daniel, Lonnie, Ken, and myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Go Sweden, go!
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the message board and discuss the topics we've broadcast today. Don't forget to hit subscribe wherever you've listened to this show, and a like would very much be appreciated. We hope you'll join us again, but until then, remember, life's a radio. Turn it up to 10.